Daniel was excited about his trip. He had been planning it for several months, and now the day had finally arrived. Early that morning, he took a taxi to the airport. The weather was nice, traffic was light, and everything seemed to be going perfectly. When he entered the terminal, he looked around with a smile. Travelers were checking in, families were saying goodbye, and airport announcements echoed through the building. Daniel checked the departure board and found his flight. Everything looked normal. His flight was scheduled to leave at 10:30 a.m. He still had plenty of time, so he decided to relax before boarding.
Perfect. I'm actually early for once.
He checked in his suitcase, passed through security, and found a seat near his gate. Then he bought a bottle of water and a sandwich. While eating, he watched airplanes take off through the large windows. Everything was going exactly as planned. Or so he thought. About 40 minutes before boarding, Daniel noticed people looking up at the departure screen. A few passengers started talking quietly to each other. Daniel looked up as well. The departure time had changed. His flight was now delayed by 30 minutes. Daniel wasn't too worried. Delays happened all the time. He leaned back in his chair and continued checking messages on his phone. A few minutes later, another announcement appeared. The flight was delayed again. This time, for 1 more hour. Daniel frowned. Now he was beginning to worry. He had an important meeting the next morning and needed to arrive on time.
Okay, that's not great.
He looked around the gate area. Many passengers seemed frustrated. Some were talking on the phone, others were walking around nervously. Daniel checked the screen again. A few minutes later, the status changed one more time. This time, the message was different.
No way. Really?
In large red letters, the screen displayed 2 words. Flight cancelled. For a moment, the entire gate area became silent. Then everyone started talking at once. Daniel stood up immediately. Passengers began moving toward the airline desk near the gate. Some people looked angry. Others looked confused. Nobody seemed to know what was happening. Daniel joined the growing line. While waiting, he checked his phone. The airline had sent a short message confirming the cancellation. Unfortunately, the message didn't explain much. After several minutes, Daniel finally reached the front of the line. Behind the desk stood a young airline employee named Sarah. She looked tired, but she was doing her best to help everyone.
Hi. My flight was canceled. Can you tell me what happened?
Of course. I'm sorry about the inconvenience. The airline canceled the flight because of a technical problem with the aircraft.
A technical problem? Is it serious?
We don't have all the details yet, but safety always comes first. The airline decided not to operate the flight.
I understand, but I really need to get to my destination today. Is there another flight available?
Let me check for you.
Sarah typed quickly on her computer while Daniel waited. For a few seconds, the only sound was the clicking of the keyboard. Finally, Sarah looked up. The news was not good.
The next direct flight isn't until tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon?
Daniel felt his stomach sink. That was much later than he expected. His meeting would already be over. Months of preparation could be wasted.
There has to be another option.
Let me see if there are connecting flights.
Sarah searched again. This time she spent several minutes reviewing different routes. Daniel watched passengers walking through the terminal while he waited. Some people were rushing to gates. For everyone else, the airport seemed normal. For Daniel, however, the entire day had suddenly changed.
I found one possibility.
Really?
There's a flight leaving in 3 hours. It stops in another city first, then continues to your destination.
Will I arrive today?
Yes, but much later than originally planned.
Honestly, that's still better than tomorrow.
I agree.
Daniel finally felt a little hopeful. The trip wasn't completely ruined after all. But there was still one problem.
Unfortunately, there are only a few seats left.
Please, tell me one is available.
Let me check.
Sarah continued working on the reservation. Daniel stepped aside and waited. The next few minutes felt unusually long. He watched airplanes land and take off outside the terminal. Every time his phone vibrated, he checked it immediately. He sent messages to coworkers explaining the situation. Fortunately, they understood. His meeting could be moved to the afternoon. That news helped him relax a little. For the first time since the cancellation, he felt like things might work out. A few minutes later, Sarah waved to him.
Daniel?
Yes?
I have good news.
Daniel quickly walked back to the desk. Sarah was smiling. That was already a good sign.
I found a seat for you.
That's great!
You'll leave this afternoon, stop in Chicago, and arrive tonight.
Perfect! Thank you so much!
You're welcome. I've also transferred your checked luggage to the new flight.
That makes things much easier.
I know today has been stressful, but everything should be fine now.
I really appreciate your help.
I'm happy I could help.
Daniel looked at the new boarding pass. It wasn't the trip he had planned, but at least he was still traveling. Sometimes things don't happen the way we expect. But with a little patience and the right help, problems can often be solved. A little later, Daniel returned to his gate and sat near the window. The airport no longer felt stressful. Now he simply felt grateful. His trip would continue, his meeting would still happen, and the difficult day was finally improving. He watched another airplane rise into the sky and disappear into the clouds. Then he smiled and placed the new boarding pass safely inside his backpack.
Well, not the day I expected, but it worked out in the end.
Sometimes a canceled flight feels like the end of a trip. For Daniel, it was only the beginning of a different journey.